Yes, hello friends, welcome back into this new video tutorial with OSP Pro. I really appreciate you guys for supporting us, subscribing to our YouTube channel, loving us, and giving us hands on what we are really doing. So I really appreciate you guys who are giving us support. I remember today guys making for you our previous video on XML, and then I showed you how XML really works on an application that I happen to finalize but using XML. Now on this video simply I'm going to be making you guys understand XML versus HTML and getting started, or making us get started with XML on the real way on how to start up. Now this video is for complete beginners, for those guys who have never transported data using XML, people who are really green up in XML. We are going to start afresh, but now I would suggest, or I would maybe say, maybe to you to start up with XML, I would suggest at least you should be having an idea of something called PHP and HTML. It's also good to have also an idea of JavaScript. So there are mainly three things or four things you should at least, I expect you guys to have at least a clue on it. That's HTML, should at least have an idea on HTML, should have an idea on JavaScript itself, the CSS or CSS, or at least have an idea of a cascading style sheet, which is CSS, and at least also on the preprocessor directive or preprocessor language like the PHP, which is the scripting language. If maybe not so, you can also be in position whereby at least you know a scripting language within there. Now let me just take you straight to the point. What's XML? Now XML simply stands for extensive markup language, whereby for it doesn't do something big, doesn't do a lot of stuff. So we are going to look onto it later on, whereby we shall even discover that actually with XML does not display that, it's work just to store that, to transport data, you get. So XML was designed to be both human and machine readable, you get. We are going to look onto all those stuffs with XML. Now maybe on the other way around, why you need to study XML? Now simple as that, XML plays an important role in many different IT systems. Like XML is often used for distributing data over the internet. Like you may create up a page, like give assumption like Google page, or if someone is using up something called maybe Facebook or Twitter, or let me say Facebook or Google because they are most often used. Then you hear someone saying that maybe continue with the Google account or Gmail account. Now this is because of XML. So if you have an XML account, it enables you to transport data, to play around data, to distribute data within the internet. Now that ability of utilizing or displaying data within the internet is not just the one called XML, it's called API, which I remember illustrating for you guys earlier on. So I remember making up for you guys that stuff. Let me just show you, mind it back again little here. I may simply say I have here something like, maybe let me just do some small drawing. Where is it? Let me just do some drawing here. I have here, let me just pick the color. Wow. Just try to do some drawings to make you understand what I'm trying to say. If you look onto this, we have our XML. Just pick the color here. This is our XML. If this is XML, now I say this is extensible markup language, you get. If our main point is to see that the data moves, so here if that is moving, in that process of transporting data, I will just call it transport, TP, you get. So we are mainly transporting data there. So if we are really transporting this piece of data, or if you are transport this data, there's something we need. We need that chain that enables us move from here, and I give assumption this one here, maybe we have maybe let me just make it brief a little. We have here something called we are transporting that data to another page. Let me say to this is an XML, and it's going to my website, and it's called OSP. Let me say my website is called OSP. Let me say OSP Pro. So let me just make it brief for you guys. I know this explanation is going to take long, but I just want you guys to understand, so bear with me for now. So now if you cross check, this is XML, it's having data. Now this XML having data, it may not only be XML, it may be even something different, like maybe I give assumption like Json. Json also works like XML, you get? Like Json, yeah, which it is JavaScript object, you get? Notation, JavaScript object notation. That's Json. So either use XML or Json. I'll explain the difference later on. You guys maybe may ask me on my next video on the difference between Ajax and Json, but let us just pick the gap right now and understand what's XML. So for today's case, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about Json. I'm not talking about Json. Instead, actually, I'm talking about XML. You get? So since we are basing on XML, let's just see how we can do that stuff. Now I've said in simple terms, XML, if at all I'm transferring data, I'll download, I give assumption like I have a website called OSP Pro. Now on this website OSP Pro, we happen to get here Facebook, or let me say Facebook will have your FB. You get? FB is in between, or maybe someone is using Google. You get? So if someone is using Google here, give assumption this is Google, which is here, and then you go on account, and then instead of this person or instead of me telling you guys that, you know what, I would like you just to do something for me, instead of saying sign up, create account, things like that, instead of doing all those stuffs, maybe you guys have ever visited such kind of sites, and then they just say that actually continue with your Google account or continue with your Facebook account. You get? Now that's because of something called API. You get? That's because of something called API. Now what's an API in a simple term? An API is application programming interface, whereby it enables us to do something called data transfer. I think that. So I hope you guys have really find it in a simple way how you can actually differentiate and how actually these guys or this thing happen to work. Between the data transfer brings us to an API. An API to be created, we need something called an XML language, or we need either XML or Json, which is going to try to enable us to interpret this data. Now maybe someone may actually ask me that how do really this stuff works around. The thing is that XML does not actually does not actually display data. For it doesn't display, it instead store and it just keeps the data and then it transports it. You get? Yeah, so this is what we're going to look onto at the moment. So why we study XML is that XML is often used for distributing data over the internet, like I said to you, or like I've just explained to you here around. You get? Then I think that's it. So someone actually who's using Google will definitely be who's using OSP Pro and is maybe has to log into that page somewhere. Trust me, I can simply say, you know what, proceed with your Google account or your FB account, because all your credentials will be taken by this person, and then from I'll be given something called the user ID or the username. I'll be getting the username and something called the key. This key or key ID or something like that. The ID which will enable me to identify, or which will enable the Google or Facebook who's giving me their API of login details to track me. You get? So when they happen to track me, that implies if I use it in the wrong way, then definitely they'll close my access over that given application. Now let me just take maybe around here. It's also important for all types of software developers, also to have a good understanding of XML. I expect you guys who may be having that background. Well, now maybe on the other way around, what you learn with me basically on this tutorial. So I will give you a solid understanding of XML, like I've said to you there. What's XML? Like I've explained to you. How does XML work? How can I use XML? Or what can I use XML for? And where do I have to use XML? So maybe I'm going to just make sure you can also quote these things down, so that next time as I happen to break these things slowly for you, you'll get to differentiate and understand. Now the main importance of XML is that, like I've listed for some of them earlier, that with data of XML, that XML has different versions. We can use XML with Ajax, we can use XML with the document object model, like that's DOM. You can also use XML with XPath, you get, which I'll explain to you guys later on. You guys who may be also from the background of jQuery, DTDs, come up from database and the services. Now, reaching the time where we shall reach onto all of this, you guys will now have a real great understanding of XML, because I'll explain all of you guys. And before even going to XML with Ajax, I'll first make for you guys a video on Ajax. I'll make for you a video of DOM, where I may actually maybe go first of all with to JavaScript, and then we look into document object model and understand it very well. Then the XPath, and we'll not know how to do those stuffs. By the time we reach to XML services, which I'll also be doing something called the cloud computing. So you guys, if you find this video interesting, don't forget, just get note of what you feel like is good, and you comment down below. I'll always keep track of it, and I'll also find a way of coming back to you. Then this is the other way around. Does XML do anything? Like I've said to you earlier, maybe it is a little hard to understand, but simply what I may say, XML does nothing apart from just storing, transporting data within the internet, within the pages, you get. So like this is a sample code of an XML code, you get. So the tags of an XML are different from the tags of an HTML page. Remember, an HTML is a hypertext markup language, and HTML is a hypertext markup language, and then the XML is extensible markup language, or extensible markup language, whereby its work is just to transport. So I give us something to say, not to, from, then heading, like reminder, and then definitely this will be the output in an HTML page. Then again, on the other way around, maybe what I may say, the difference between XML and HTML. Wow, that's great. So let's just look onto that, then we go on to coding, because I know you guys will be having a great understanding of an XML. So mainly XML and HTML were distinguished with different goals. Like XML was described to carry data with the focus on what data is, you get. So, and yes, well as HTML, its main purpose is just to display data with the focus on how data looks like, you get. So the other one looks onto, it focuses on what data is. Is it what data is it? Is it going to be a string, or what data that is that? You get. So its work just to carry data. But with HTML, its work may look onto how to display the data, and what's the data? How does that really look like? Is it an image? Is it a number? Is it, or like, is it a text? Is it a character? Is it an image? Is it a PDF? What is it all about? So XML tags are not predefined like HTML. HTML tags are predefined. They are known. You get? So my friends, oh wow. If you need a PDF of these simple notes, well, you can just comment down below my page with your email address, so that I can be in a position to send you. Otherwise, if you know you're within Uganda and want to learn how to create an API with us, just come to OSPI Digital Solutions, so that you can be in a position to do this with you. We are located in Uganda again, Diamond Trust Bank building. We are on the 2nd floor. Any of you guys who are interested in learning XML and taking to another part of life, you guys are most welcome. So guys, I wish you a nice time. Stay safe. Don't drink while driving. So I wish you a nice time. May God bless you all. Love you. Thank you.